Students find teacher's OnlyFans account and beg to join her class. So it says, we've seen a ton of teachers get flack and even terminated for being on OnlyFans. Shocking. Shocking, I say. But one by the name of Sophia Costa. Do you have the article pulled up there? Can you tell me how to pronounce that last name? It's spelled C-O-S-T-E. Would that be?
I have one article.
Would it be pronounced Costa? C-O-S-T-E?
Costa? I don't know.
Okay. So it says, has emerged in showing no signs of losing her job. So the school's just like, let's go. The OnlyFans model, who proudly announces on Instagram that she's a school teacher turned content creator. By the way, if you were wondering...
Content creator.
If you were wondering... I love that. It's like, if you were wondering what subject a smoking hot OnlyFans teacher teaches...
Okay, let me guess. Biology.
Science. They say science.
It's biology. You know it.
It's probably biology. So she has emerged and is showing no signs of losing her job. She announced on Instagram that she's a teacher turned content creator, has been making the rounds on TikTok for her videos discussing her teaching career. That's the creepy part about all of this, right? Is that, first of all, they don't say what grade she teaches. I'm assuming high school level, but I don't know. She says, amazingly, but perhaps unsurprisingly, she has
Canadian.
She has her students wanting to be in her class after her page was discovered, but the teacher has used this to her advantage by making new content. There's like videos of her saying like me seeing my student's hot dad and like making a face. So she's like putting it right in there into the content. Okay.
So A, it's in Canada, so everything makes sense. B,
but this is done in a Spanish-speaking. I think it wouldn't be. I don't think it was.
Doesn't it say British assistant in British Columbia, Canada?
Okay. That's not where I thought it said. I might have misread earlier. It says.
Wait.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
According to the Spanish media, the teacher has made several TikToks pointing to the fact that she's a teacher. In one, she jokes about what students see while she's explaining a formula to them. So it's very, very promiscuous. In another, where the caption says, when some of my students find out about me, and then she hushes the camera, because this is the culture we live in now. You can be a content creator and teach children if you're a woman.
Content creator.
I don't know if a guy would get away with this. Granted, a guy's OnlyFans wouldn't do as well, but you
don't know that.
Yeah, maybe I'm the sexist.
Chat, tell me who wouldn't like a Dane Fun OnlyFans?
But like the idea that she like shushes them to like this is like a secret between us is just so. I don't know. What is it? It's predator adjacent in a way.
She still has a job there?
They have not fired her.
The sexualization of children is probably a bad thing. So OnlyFans, like I know that there's going to be children that are going to see this stuff, but society making
they don't mention her grade either. So I'm assuming if students want to join her class, they're probably high school students, but you don't know.
Even still, like just because you know kids are going to see it doesn't mean you have to encourage it.
Exactly.
And the idea that, they're going to see it, so we want to go ahead and teach them how and blah. No, you don't have to. In fact, we've had all of human history where parents have not been saying, look, this is how you insert the dildo into your anus. Right?
Wow.
Like that is not been something that is normal for all of human history. So the idea that we should do this now, probably not. We should probably pump the brakes on that kind of stuff.
And it's sad too, because it's like whenever these articles are written, it's propaganda, meaning that they're like, what are you so upset about? Why do you care so much?
Yeah, that's that is infuriating. There's a $20 super chat.
From Noah Sanders, Q says, why can't any of these hot teachers do it the old-fashioned way like Michelle McCool? She's fine and thought she could make more money off her body than her mind, so she became a WWE diva and ended up marrying The Undertaker. Yes, that is true. She did do that.
Yeah.
You're allowed to, like, it's like they want, that's the problem, right? Everyone wants to have it all. Like, you want to both do your job as a content creator, but you also want to keep your job around children. Sorry, you just shouldn't be able to have it both ways.
I am once again here asking everyone, we must build the northern wall.
Okay.
Keep the Canadians out?
Canadians are not sending their best.
The Frostbacks?
The Frostbacks. They're not doing their best.
As a honorary Frostback, I take particular offense to that.
I love the term Frostback.
Here's what it says, when I see my student's father...
That is
purring.
That is okay. So like, to part of me that is disgusting.
Right? Elaborate.
Then there's a whole other part of me.
The intellectual side of you knows it's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
The intellectual side of you knows it's wrong.
Then there's the part of me that spent the last 20 years touring and being in a band and stuff, and that's kind of awesome. But I understand those two things need to be separated.
Here's another one. This is this one's in Spanish.
We don't
so I
need
have
to see
no
another one. We
idea.
get the point off of that one, man.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
This is This like I can like there's more. I swear I only did a limited amount of investigation
For the show.
I did.
For the show.
For the show.
So that's her telling the students, shush. Don't tell your parents that I have an OnlyFans. Oh boy. So, I just wonder sometimes if like 20 years ago anybody would have been able to predict that this is the way that things were going.
I mean,
20 years ago? No, probably. No. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
cuando uno de mis
And
alumnos-
Russellford Shackleton says, damn, sign me up for her class. That's actually the point of the article in this is that after the kids found out about her OnlyFans, they asked to be put in her class.
Man.
It says, even more crazy is that she seems to imply that she flirts with students' parents, posting Twitter videos. This hasn't stopped students from the school from wanting to be in her class. Her account is filled with messages such as, I want to be your student, or asking for her help to help them with subjects. It reminds me of Van Wilder when they do topless tutors.
yeah.
In 4 years.
In Van Wilder.
In
But that
4
was college, so, it wasn't creepy.
It was always, things like this have always been portrayed as college or, maybe like last year of high school or college and stuff. And it probably is better that it's probably better to not even have this.
They also, go ahead.
In 4 years, she'll invite one of her students for content creation.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Well, they mentioned like other such cases of people in this. There was a science. Why is it always science teachers? They must be biology teachers. They must be. Maybe these are the sex ed teachers. I have no idea.
Sex ed would be,
But,
humanities.
Okay. So
Which is where all the cancer is.
most infamously, a science teacher in the U.S. was terminated after she was caught filming content on students' desks. So the culture,
Wow.
the slippery slope that's not really a
No,
slippery
listen.
slope.
The slippery. Anyways, let's stop.
It is a very slippery
Finish
slope.
that sentence, Phil.
These things are not good to be. Yeah.
It's just I don't know what to say other than it's kind of bonkers and it's shocking, but at the same time, is it really all that shocking to anyone?
Nothing is shocking.
It probably shouldn't be. I mean, when you think about the things that people film, and like they've been filming them since they had since some of the very first actual films that were ever filmed, like recorded, were like naked people. Like it was like they did a couple things and they're like, let's get someone to put their butt on.
Seems
there.
like human nature.
It is. Well, human beings are innately fascinated with mortality and creating life.
Yeah.
Like the cycle of life is something that we are going to be fascinated with. So sex and death are things that we're always going to be. They're always going to be a presence in our lives and in our art and in our culture, and how these things manifest and how we manage them is, different from culture to culture. And I think that we are in a position where we are so focused on sexuality, and I think it's possible that it might be because we are so trying to keep the idea of our own mortality at bay. Because I feel like that they're kind of like the yin and the yang.
I'm immortal, so I can't relate.
Fair enough.
Do you see a lot of I think the easiest argument to point out here is the hypocrisy between men and women, that if guys were doing it, you would have talked about this before. We talked about like there's an inherent danger to men, and like when we've talked about this before, like between men with teachers that are men and teachers that are women.
Well, yeah, there's an inherent danger in sexuality.
Yeah.
They're contained in sexuality for women, right? So, and it's new that women have been able to control that.
But it's still hypocritical to not criticize this or to look at this as something where people just want to give it a pass when it would never be held to the same standard for men. They would say, get the dude out of here. He cannot be in this school. He is a predator.
Sure. Yes. And I think that I'm of the mind that hypocrisy in this context is okay. Women and men are not the same.
Yeah, same.
So it's okay for there to be men women have this standard and men have this standard. And I know it's hypocrisy, but that is okay because you're not applying apples and apples. Men and women are different. So,
but I mean, one of the things, I never thought about it the angle you would point at it from, which was the chance of somebody being violent with you.
Not just violent, but the repercussions of even if you have even if a woman engages in consensual sex before the pill and before the ability to control pregnancy and everything, pregnancy could lead to your death.
Yeah.
You could have, there are all kinds of things that could happen. And I don't know what the numbers of people that died in childbirth. I couldn't, say them off the top of my head, but I know that it was a significant danger, 100 years ago. And so because of that, chastity was also a survival method, not just about preventing unwanted pregnancy. It was like, look, if you get pregnant, you might die. You might die in childbirth. So
it's interesting watching shows from the early 2000s which treat sex. It's not like they pretended like teenagers didn't have sex.
Yeah.
That was not something they were doing, but it was done in a way that seemed like they were actually being honest about, or not honest isn't the right word. Like they were actually trying to prevent kids from just acting out and acting irrationally. I've talked a lot about Veronica Mars, which is a show I've been watching through for the first time recently. And the topic is broached. There's a lot of topics about it because the character herself was a victim of assault when she was a junior in high school. But in the show, they portray both the male students and the female students as living their own manifested sexual lives. But it's not done in a way that's saying like, go undo this. It's acknowledging that it was a reality of the time.
Yeah.
Now it seems like either they portray it as hyper focused on it, like something like Euphoria, where it's over the top and perverse in a lot of ways. But that's not what the culture was in the early 2000s. But that wasn't that long ago.
No,
we're talking about less than 20 years ago.
I feel like there's been the general opinion went from, well, kids are going to do it anyways, so we should try to make sure that they're informed, to kids are going to do it anyways, so we should celebrate it and try to make sure that they know how to do it and help them do it. As opposed to, because there were people that made arguments that like abstinence doesn't work, telling kids to abstain doesn't work, etc. And the argument may have been compelling, but that doesn't mean that the argument was right.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so kids are going to do it. That doesn't mean that we should just say, well, palms up, just do whatever we can to make sure they do it safely, which very quickly, especially in today's society of affirming everything a child wants, turns it into encouraging children. And I think that's a very, very bad perspective for society to have. Children should not be encouraged to have sex or engage in sexual activity at all because they're not prepared for it.
And Kino Corner, friend of the show, it points out something very interesting in the chat. He says, we are at once over-sexualized and completely puritanical now. He's right. Mm-hmm. We are simultaneously more promiscuous and sexualized than we've ever been as a culture, while being, as Mary would call it, sexless and puritanical. And I think there's a lot of merit to that. Like, it depends on where you get your media. Like, if you go and watch the average, like when I'm reading articles, depending on where I'm getting my information from, it's focusing on Vanderpump Rules or Desperate Housewives. And those are shows that are not inherently sexual, but they treat femininity and motherhood and all of these things as a reality, meaning that they're sexual beings. And certainly we see the overt sexualization of shows like Euphoria
Sex and the City was
The Idol.
Doing it decades
exactly.
ago.
So you see a lot of that, but at the same time, we're constantly talking about what we're talking about here, like what's right, what's wrong, what's allowed, what's not allowed, because we're a scared society now in a lot of ways because nobody wants to take the wrong step and make the wrong move.
By the way, before the show started, we were having a conversation, and
Don't do it.
One of the parts of our conversation.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other stuff we were talking about.
No. We mustn't talk about that. But we were. I was saying that some people, the extent of their character is emulating their favorite person on their favorite show, and And at that time when we were talking, I was like, how many Chandlers, how many Phoebes, how many whatever. But with that same logic, how many chicks want to be and are desperately trying to be that slut in Sex and the City?
Previous generation, but yeah.
No, still, brother, that show to this day.
Well, there's still what is it called? Like they redid it. Or they restarted it last
That's
year.
Girl Boss required reading.
Yeah.
And it's such a con because the idea what's portrayed is a woman can have everything and do it all.
Yeah.
You can be a CEO and you can be a mother and you can have a vibrant sex life and you can with many, many different partners, and you can also have true love because I guess there was that one dude that she had chased or whatever. But the point is that show gave women the idea that they could do it all, and you can't. Period. Like you can't.
Then no one can. By the way, this isn't a man or woman
Yeah,
thing.
it's
Like,
not.
no one can.
That
It's
was Feminist 101 in the early 2000s.
Yeah. I mean, look at like again. I'll refer to myself. Like I've been touring for a long time, and I've seen what happens when guys, and I'm talking about men here, like you get a wife, and then they go and they tour and they're successful, but it takes a toll on them how much they're away from their family. Yeah. Because to be a rock star and touring the world and all that stuff, it's great, but you're not doing it with your child. And Jordan Peterson brought up a point that he talks about. You've got a little kid for 4 years. That's it. And 4 years is not that long, especially as you get older. 4 years goes by fairly quickly. You miss out. So you don't get to have an active, constantly going, touring rock band that's on fire and doing the stuff and get to see your kid have their first steps or hear their first words.
The way that feminism has degraded that is by they make it seem as if the men don't even want that they miss it actively, that they don't care about missing those things. Whereas when women miss it, it tears their heart out and they don't want it. Yeah. And that's not a fair representation of men or women.
No, feminism. Well, but feminism's cancer. So.
Yep. All right. So the long story short is like, if you're a teacher, maybe you don't. I know. They don't pay you well enough. I know you're underpaid and underappreciated, but do you need that much appreciation?
I don't know.
I ask you.
Are they really that underpaid? How much do they work?
That's what they always say, like, are they underpaid or is the school underfunded for
That is one
things?
of the great American myths.
Yeah. So
teachers being underpaid.
Chat, what say you? Are teachers underpaid? Maybe somebody who knows more about this than
commit. If you're going to be an OnlyFans person, be an OnlyFans person and maybe don't mold young minds.
Like I like then you get to see like their timeline where all their content their content output goes up during summer because they don't work during the summer because they're teachers.
I mean, maybe.
Must be nice.
They still get paid.
Must be nice. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.